When you look at this pineapple, you may just see a pineapple. But when I look at this pineapple, I want to see its personality and what makes it truly unique. I want to see its inner source of beauty. And to do this, we must look past its appearance, its choice of apparel, or its political views. We must look at its most basic components. As the old saying goes, if you want to learn about someone, you must cut them in half infinitely many times. If we were to do that with this pineapple, we would find the most basic building blocks of everything in the universe, the atom. The atom has had a long journey to come to where it is today, a life spanning over 2,000 years and under constant revision. From Democritus to Dalton, to Thomson, to Rutherford, and finally to Bohr. But let's start at the beginning, in 442 BCE. I'll now throw over to my good friend and life companion, Josh Shin, to go over the history.
Thanks, Roland. Yeah, like he said, it started in 442 BCE with a man named Democritus. Democritus was an ancient Greek philosopher and called the father of modern science. And one day, he had an idea. He hypothesized that everything in the universe was actually made of round spheres that were indivisible and indestructible, and they actually couldn't even be destroyed by an expo marker. Democritus was very ahead of his time, as advancements in atomic theory didn't really occur until 1803. So for 2 whole millennia, the atom was just a simple round ball. Then came along John Dalton in the early 1800s. Stemming from the recently discovered law of conservation of mass, Dalton conducted a series of experiments and noticed that tin reacts with oxygen in either a 1:1 or 1:2 ratio. From this, he hypothesized that these elements must be composed of atoms for them to react in these integer ratios. He then postulated that atoms of the same element are identical, atoms of different elements vary in size and mass, and individual atoms cannot be changed chemically, but they can combine with other atoms to create a more complex compound, like so. However, the atom still only was this sad little sphere, and that did not change until 1897. For more on that, Hank Green.
Sir Joseph John Thomson is an English physicist who is most well known for his work with cathode ray tubes. A cathode ray tube is a device that shoots out a steady stream of electrons, which in turn causes a fluorescent glow. If you've ever seen a neon sign, then you've seen a cathode ray tube. Using cathode ray tubes, Thomson discovered that the rays could be deflected with an electric field. This led him to believe that the rays were actually composed of negative particles, and he would call these negative particles corpuscles. He then tried to bend the rays with electric fields of varying strengths to try and determine the mass-to-charge ratio of the corpuscle. Through his experiment, he discovered that the corpuscle was actually 1,800 times smaller than a hydrogen atom. This tiny particle was later named the electron. He then published his plum pudding model, which portrayed the atom as a sea of positive charge with negatively charged electrons embedded inside of this positively charged pudding. Let's now go over to Don Showalter to get his take on the plum pudding model. Hey guys, Don Showalter here. We're in the kitchen today making some Rocky Road ice cream, which I think is a great representation of the plum pudding model by Thomson. So we'll start by putting in some positively charged pudding, which in this case is the milk and cream. Next, we're going to add some of the negatively charged electrons. We'll start with the walnuts, which are a personal favorite of mine. And some chocolate powder to give it some nice Rocky Road flavor. And finally, some marshmallows. Perfect. So now I'm going to put it in the freezer and we're just going to have to wait and let it sit. So we've waited about 48 hours now. I think that Rocky Road ice cream has got to be just about ready. Let's give it a check. Wow! It couldn't have turned out any better. So if you see here, the actual ice cream is like the positively charged pudding in Thomson's model. And you see those marshmallows and those walnuts? Those are like the negatively charged electrons. Well, let's see if it tastes as good as it looks. Wow, delicious!
Thanks, Don, for that great demonstration. But unfortunately, Thomson's plum pudding model didn't last long, as was proved wrong by New Zealand physicist Ernest Rutherford with his gold foil experiment in 1909. Rutherford's experiment consisted of a very thin sheet of gold foil that was surrounded by a detecting screen. He then shot out alpha particles out of a lead block directly at the gold foil. If the plum pudding model was true, then the positive alpha particles should pass right through the gold foil with very minimal deflection. However, Rutherford was very surprised to find out this actually wasn't the case. Some of the particles were actually deflected a great deal, and some of them even straight back. He concluded that the positive charge must be concentrated into a very small area of the atom in order to be able to deflect the particles so severely. With this information, Rutherford proposed his planetary model where a cloud of negatively charged electrons orbited a very small nucleus of positive charge.
What a crazy life our atom has already endured. From simply starting as a sphere to Don Showalter's rocky road. And you have just learned about the planetary model. But the most groundbreaking discovery of the atom has yet to occur: quantum theory. For more, let's go to Josh Shin.
Thanks, Roald. Actually, Rutherford's model was incorrect as well because it cannot explain the very specific nature of the emission spectrum. In light of Einstein and Planck's recent discoveries in quantum physics, a Danish physicist, Niels Bohr, hypothesized that the electron was also quantized. Bohr's model has the same compact positive nucleus as Rutherford's model. However, instead of orbiting the nucleus, electrons existed on different energy levels. An electron could go to a different energy level, but it wouldn't travel through empty space. It would simply reappear at a different energy state. It would be quantized. The electron would then fall back to ground state and emit a specific wavelength of light. This model finally explained the nature of the emission spectrum. Although not entirely correct, Bohr's model still gives a very accurate description of the atom, and many parts of his theory are still accepted today.
That is the atom, the perfect building block that makes up everything in our whole world. The atom makes up both you and me. It is a very beautiful thing. Thank you for watching, and please join me next week as we talk more about the world of chemistry.
You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine just on the night like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework.
We've waited about 48 hours now. I think the ice cream's gotta be ready. Let's give it a check. Wow! Hey guys, it's Don Showalter here. Today we'll be making rocky road ice cream. Hey guys, Don Showalter here. We're in the kitchen today making some ice cream, Rocky Road ice cream. Kitchen today making some Rocky Road ice cream. Kitchen today making some Rocky Road ice cream, which I think is a great representation. Here we're in the kitchen today making some Rocky Road ice cream. Wow! 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 Wow!